In the AI automation space, especially on YouTube, there's hundreds of videos showing you how to work with N8N, how to build stuff on make.com, and giving you a bunch of free templates. But not a lot of people tell you what to do when you actually get a client and how to onboard them. And that's exactly what I'm going to go through in this video. Now, a lot of you are going to be wondering, who am I and why should you listen to me? I'm Folu, I run WorkReady AI, and we're typically implement AI automation solutions in the real estate sector. We operate at about 100k monthly revenue, and we work with over 40 real estate clients. We have a less than 2% churn rate, meaning we don't really lose too many customers. And for the customers that we have lost, it's typically due to stuff outside of our control. And I've been in this space for about 3 years now, so I've seen the ups and downs, I've seen what works, and I've seen what doesn't work. Now, the typical questions that I see asked is stuff about pricing structure, like how much should I charge for my services? You've got questions about payment model, like should I use monthly retainers or one-time setup fees? Also stuff about the documentation, like how do I actually collect information for the client? So in a lot of these automations that you've built, you'll have to connect to their CRM or to other stuff that they have. And people want to know how to actually connect to this stuff. So we'll go through that in this video as well. And also the hosting aspect of things. Like, should I build it on the client's account? Should I build it on my account? And how do I make all of this work together? And that's what we're going to go through in this video. And these aren't just operational questions. These are the foundation of your business model. If you get these right, you'll be able to build a profitable, scalable agencies. But if you get them wrong, you'll struggle with inconsistent revenue and difficult clients. The biggest question, obviously the most important one, is monthly retainers or one-time setup fees, or the one-time payment model. And for me, in most cases, I've always seen that the monthly retainer model is a lot better than these one-time setup fees. And the reason is, typically there's a bunch of reasons, but as you can see here, we kind of have the pros and cons here. And with the one-time payment model, obviously you get an upfront payment for a single project, which typically for smaller projects it might look something like this, and where you get this immediate injection of cash flow into your business, which may sound good at the start. It may seem like something a lot more attractive to you, but it typically works out to be a negative. Also, the one-time payment model requires you to constantly look for new clients after you finish that project. So you might spend, I don't know, maybe months looking for leads, or you might spend a couple of days looking for leads. And after you get that lead and you build that project, you'll get that fee, but then you have to go out again and keep looking for more clients, and it becomes this constant draining process. It also lacks the predictability of future income, because you may get maybe 2 projects this week, and then next week you might get none, and the week after you might get none. So kind of lacks this predictability to your income, which is crucial for business. Because if you don't have any predictable income, you can't predictably spend on marketing. You can't predictably know that next month here's how much we can spend on marketing, because you don't actually know how much you're going to bring into your business. Now, with the monthly retainer model, it becomes a lot more secure. You get recurrent fee for ongoing services, or giving the client access to the automation that you've built. You constantly get this recurring fee. Now, the projects that you build may look something like, maybe, let's say, a WhatsApp agent, and you essentially say to the client, hey, we're going to charge you a monthly fee of £800 per month for you to use this. Now, you could also say to the client, we're just going to charge you $3,000 up front, which may seem like more money to you, but over the course of a year, if you're able to retain this client, then you've ended up with, nearly triple or over triple what you would have got off this one-time setup fee. So while this looks more attractive in the beginning, the monthly retainer model will always work out to be more than you will get on this one-time payment model. That's why we typically stick with this monthly retainer model. Again, with the monthly retainer model, it becomes a lot more stable and predictable income, because you can typically tell, based on how many clients you have, how much money you're going to bring in that month. And then you can start to budget for marketing. You can start to budget for other softwares that you want to be a part of, or that you want to get seats on. And your whole business becomes a lot more predictable, and in turn a lot more profitable. Now, because you're working with this client on a month-to-month basis, and you're essentially inside their business, you also get to detect, or you get to see other chances for automation within their company. And that's when this monthly retainer typically ends up being a lot more as the months go on, because you can figure out and you can detect other spaces that could be automated within their business, and you can pitch it to them. And because you already have a service for them that is working, it's typically a lot easier to upsell, like 10 times easier to upsell clients that you already have on new automation. So that in general will up this monthly retainer fee, because you'll find it a lot easier to upsell the clients that you're working with. Now there's a lot more pros to the monthly retainer model, and that's why I kind of push this, or this is the model that I would choose if you're starting out in the AI automation space, or if you're already in it and you're looking for you're just looking for general advice. Now, obviously in AI automation, churn is extremely low. And what for churn, if you don't understand what churn is, it's basically where you lose clients. So if I have 10 clients and I've lost 2 clients this month, then our churn would be 20%. Now, in the AI automation space, churn typically is a lot lower than most businesses. And the reason is clients fear returning to manual processes once they've experienced the efficiency gains of AI. And we've seen this in our business, that once we've showed them and we've allowed them to experience that kind of process being automated that they've maybe been doing for the past 10 or 20 years, it's a lot harder for them to say, actually, we don't want this anymore, because they've experienced it and they know it can be done by AI, and they know that you're doing it for them. So once you have a good product or a good service, it's really hard for them to kind of cancel that plan with you. That's why the monthly retainer model typically, again, is better than a one-time payment model. Now, again, with the monthly retainer model, it's a lot easier for them. There's a lower barrier of entry, because to say to a client, hey, you have to pay me $3,000 for this project, or you can pay me $8,000 upfront, it's a lot easier to say yes to this when you pitch it to a client, because for this one they have to essentially give you $3,000 for something that you've told them is going to work, but nobody really knows if it's going to work. No matter how many testimonials you have, no matter how good or how big your company is, it's still a lot of money to entrust in somebody that it's going to work. So because it's essentially, there is a risk involved, because yes, you could give them all of the promises in the world, but for the thing to work and for them to pay you for this thing to work, it's difficult for them to do. Now, again, with this one-time payment model, because you're giving it off to them, if you have problems in the future, if AI or any of these services that you're building on have problems, like just perfect example being yesterday when Amazon went down, what do they do in that situation? So they've just paid you $3,000, and the next month Amazon goes down and their N8N automation shuts down. What do they do in that situation? Do they have to bring on a new developer, or what? Well, in the one-time payment model, they would have to hire a new developer to fix it. This model of the monthly retainer model, you're basically ensuring them that no matter what, you are going to maintain and keep this automation up and running for them. So they're kind of the benefits of this monthly retainer model over that kind of just one-time fee. Now, a fatal mistake that I see with a lot of people starting out is they become the person that is able to build anything for everybody. So they just build anything. As soon as a lead comes in saying, can you build this, they essentially just say yes and build everything and anything for anybody. And this is a fatal mistake that I see in a lot of people starting out. The reason why is because you have unclear messaging. Your outreach lacks focus, and it fails to kind of resonate with any specific audience. You're giving off generic pain points. Without any specificity, you can't address real problems that drive purchasing decisions. It's impossible to scale because every project requires you to do a custom discovery process. You have to come up with a new pricing structure and implementation from scratch. So you're essentially starting your agency over and over again based on each new project that comes in. So it's never scalable. This leads to agency failure because the lack of systems and replicability makes sustainable growth impossible. The winning formula, and the formula that I chose from the very start, was picking one niche and solving one problem brilliantly. Build your solution once, then replicate it hundreds of times across the same industry. And this is by far the best way to take AI automation, because again, like all of the cons that we've went through previously, like it not being scalable, but once you build something for one client within an industry or within a niche, typically hundreds of other people, if not thousands, will have that same problem that you can just replicate on and make better and better and better. And that's what we did in the real estate space. One of our clients had one issue. We built a solution for them, and we figured out that every other kind of real estate agent in this space had the same issue, and we just replicated this automation and essentially turned it into a bomb-proof solution for real estate agents, where most agents had this problem, and we were able to just replicate this automation over and over again, and we continue to do it to this day, making it better and better. And now we have a service that's really quick with onboarding. We're able to onboard clients extremely quickly, and we don't have to go through this whole phase where we have to do a discovery call and we have to come up with different pricing plans and we have to do different implementation structures. We have real systems in place. We have replicability, and it gives us this growth possibility where we can exponentially grow and bring on more and more clients each month. So to expand on this winning strategy a little bit more, here's kind of what I would do. So I would choose a niche first. So it can be something like these big kind of industries like lawyers or dentists or estate agents, or any industry with kind of shared pain points within each other. Like they're quite the same regardless who you go to. Like if you go to one dentist and you go to another dentist on the other side of the country, most likely the processes are going to be relatively similar. After you choose your industry, obviously do outreach and build a solution or create a solution that addresses the specific problem for that industry. Now, this is hard to do straight away, and you may not be able to just find a specific pain point off the bat without actually working within that industry. So what we did at the start was, for the first like 5 to 10 clients, it was very kind of custom, where we would come in and say, look, we can build whatever you want, or we try and figure out their pain points and build solutions for them. And after these kind of first initial projects, we realized that a lot of these projects we're building have similar pain points, and that's how we were able to identify the solution that we wanted to kind of go forward and just to replicate over and over again. Obviously, when you get that solution replicated everywhere, the same problem exists across hundreds or thousands of businesses within that niche, and that's what leads to you scaling rapidly. It's easier pricing, you have clearer messaging in your outreach and in your marketing, and you have a streamlined onboarding process. When you specialize, everything becomes easier. Your marketing speaks directly to your audience's challenge. Pricing is consistent and defensible because you have exact outcomes that you can essentially promise clients, because you've worked with previous people in your industry. You know what you've been able to produce for them, and you can promise that to future customers or to future leads. Your onboarding process becomes a repeatable system instead of starting from scratch every single time. Now, this is a very kind of basic, simple pricing structure that I found that works. Now, depending on your industry, this can vary a lot, but for the kind of general niches that I've seen most people pick, this is kind of the pricing structure that I would go with. So for smaller projects, simple automations with kind of limited integrations, I would typically go with this 500 to 1k monthly retainer. For mid-sized projects with kind of multiple integrations and workflows, I would go with this kind of price for the 1k to 5k monthly retainer. And then obviously for your enterprise projects, complex system, with extensive requirements, I would go with the 10k plus, and it can go extremely high depending how complex the project can get. Now, an example breakdown would be something like this, where you have a setup fee of 1,000, and then you tell the client that there's a monthly retainer of 800 per month, and this gives you at the end of year one a total of 10,600. Now, obviously, you're going to have to maintain that service for the customer, but because you're building this service or this product over and over again, you become a lot better at steaming out all of the problems that can possibly come up, and it makes it minimal maintenance for you required after you set this up. Now, the setup fee serves as two purposes when you're running a monthly retainer. So we'll typically add a little setup fee, but the main kind of where most of our revenue comes from is this monthly retainer. Now, the setup fee serves as two purposes because it covers your initial development costs, and it also ensures that the client commits to the project. So if we start building something and they haven't really paid us anything as of date, then it becomes a lot harder to get information off them because they have no skin in the game. They have no reason to really contact us because they haven't paid us anything. So if we lose contact, then there's nothing we can really do. So when you charge them a kind of not too small, but a typically low set fee like this, then it gives them skin in the game, so it makes them want to respond to you and push this project forward quicker to get it set up. Once the system is running smoothly, it requires again minimal intervention whilst generating that steady monthly income. Now, after we get past that kind of initial sales phase and we've kind of confirmed with the client that they're ready to go ahead with this project, the onboarding form is your secret weapon, and this is going to save you weeks and weeks of back and forth. Now, sending your onboarding form immediately after closing the deal whilst the client is excited is crucial, because this, you kind of catch them while they're in that excited, energetic phase where they will fill out the form and send it back to you immediately. This single document eliminates weeks of back and forth communication and positions your agency as organized and professional. On these onboarding forms can be simple stuff like gathering email credentials. Maybe if you're implementing anything into your website, is where you, in this form, you might include the parts to gather the website access credentials, any requirements like business specific needs and preferences, and all of the integration details, maybe if API keys, third party access tokens, etc. Whatever the product is that you're building, try and put as much as you can into this onboarding form so you can get all of that information immediately after the call whilst the client is still excited. Use tools like Typeform or Form Fillout to create these professional looking forms. The goal is to collect everything up front so you can start building immediately. A smooth onboarding experience sets the tone for the entire client relationship. Now, here is an example of an onboarding form that we use. As you can see over here, if we go to this onboarding form, they just have the client's name, where they can put in their name, etc. So we can fill this in with demo data. And for us, for one of our projects, for one of our services, we need to gather the person's email address of where their property inquiries come in from. So in the real estate space, we would gather their email address. So we need to get their email address and password, in which this form will collect. Then you also have stuff like this where we need to connect to their WordPress, which is essentially their website. And what we'll do for this section is, because it's kind of hard and a director or a business owner may not know exactly how to do this, we'll include the question. So what is your WordPress account username? This must be an administrator account. And we'll include a little video here in which we just copy and pasted from YouTube, and we've input it here to make it as easy and as frictionless as possible for them to give us data, or for them to give us the answer. So they'll input this, they'll input the password to the account, and then after that they'll be shown this message, which is thank you for providing your details. Your account manager will be in touch shortly. And that kind of sets the tone to show your professionalism in your agency. Now, another issue in which we come across, or another question in which we get a lot of the time, is where do I host the stuff that we build? Like if we build it on N8N or make.com, where do I host all of this stuff? Now, the thing we do, because we're working with them on a month-to-month basis, we don't need the client to host anything. Matter of fact, we don't even want to tell the client anything about this technical back-end side of stuff, because essentially they don't care. All they want to know is, does it work and does it do what you said it's going to do? The reason why we host on our own infrastructure is because it eliminates the client being overwhelmed. There's no technical training required for them. We maintain full control and quality. Client focuses on results, not the systems and the back end and all of the technical stuff, and it becomes a professional hands-off experience for them. Now, what clients never see and what we don't ever want them to see is the back-end platforms like Anytime, Make.com, the API configurations, hosting credentials, technical troubleshooting, and system maintenance. All of this is stuff that should be done by you or your back-end team to make this a smooth, frictionless experience for the customer. Leverage with AI is simple. It's I'll save you money, save you time, and bring in extra revenue. The moment you add stuff like, oh, and here's your login credentials and all of this kind of technical jargon, you've lost that kind of AI leverage of AI taking over and doing the job for them, because you just took it away one problem and added on a bunch of other problems, like them being able to manage your service and then being able to add billing information and make sure that they have enough credentials and operations or whatever on Make or N8N, all of this stuff, you take away that leverage that you have. The client doesn't care how it works. The only thing they care about is that it works. That's all they want. They just want it to work and do exactly what you say. So in no circumstance, in my opinion, should you give the client access or overwhelm them with all of these kind of back-end systems that they have to manage themselves. Now, development timelines and expectations are important for clients because they always want to know, when is this thing that you're building me going to be ready? Now, for your first few projects, a lot of the time it may take 7 to 14 days for discovery, development, and testing. Now, it's obviously going to take a lot longer because maybe you might not know what you're doing yet, or it might be a lot newer or custom build for you. And that's why it will take a lot longer. But when you kind of get that product, like I was talking about, after you've done a few projects and you know kind of the pain points in the industry, when you're able to kind of productize these pain points in these solutions, they can go down to 1 to 2 days once you've built the same solution multiple times. For us, it's a couple of hours. As you get more familiar and you do this over and over again, your development time goes down a lot more, which obviously brings in more profit for you. Now, the ongoing maintenance, like I mentioned previously, there's minimal intervention required after a successful deployment. Especially the more you deploy it, the easier it becomes and the less work it requires you. Now, at the start, I was adamant on having the always say yes approach. So whenever a client came to me and asked me to build something, I would never turn down a project because it seemed too complex. The reason being is because there's always somebody in the AI automation community, whether it's my community or a random school community, there's always somebody who knows how to build it. You'll learn a lot faster when you have a purpose, and something that you may think, oh, I won't be able to do that now. When you have somebody that's paid you, you'll be shocked at how fast you can learn and how fast you can fix this problem or figure it out. And a paying client provides exactly that purpose and motivation. Hosting in communities, offering revenue share for help. This approach will accelerate your learning whilst building your portfolio and reputation. And every complex project you complete becomes a new capability in your arsenal and a new thing that you can add on to your service, in which all of your clients are going to benefit from. Now, that being said, there are some red flag projects for beginners. So while it's an always say yes approach, there's some stuff that I won't say yes to, like regulated industries like medical and finance sectors, because a lot of the time that will burden you with regulations that you have to follow and lawyers and stuff like that, which can get expensive and complex. Also, if the client is not willing to pay setup fee, like a minimal setup fee, then that shows that the client has a lack of commitment. If there is physical integration, obviously that's an unforeseen complexity which we don't want anything to do with. And any clients which are quick fix clients that just want something for now, then that's an unrealistic expectation, as we work on a monthly basis. That's kind of the red flag opportunities that I would stay away from. That's basically the end of this video, and that's kind of everything that you need to know when onboarding a client. So your onboarding formula here is choose one niche, focus on a specific industry with shared challenges, then solve one problem brilliantly, which is build a solution that you can replicate hundreds of times. Then structure your monthly retainers, so prioritize recurring revenue over one-time fees. Then create a frictionless onboarding process, so like them forms that I showed you, which can collect all of that information upfront while the client is still excited. Then you can charge these setup fees, which will lock in that commitment and cover development costs. And then I would never turn down projects which are too complex, because every challenging project expands your capabilities and makes your service or your product better for all of your clients and all of your future clients. So the real money is in the retainers, where you can build steady income with low maintenance, high client retention, and a truly scalable business model. So if I was to start today, I would start by identifying my niche and creating my onboarding system to make it seamless for whenever I do close a client. Now, if you like that video, make sure to leave a comment below. Also, I'm going to leave this presentation in the first link so you can follow along, or whenever you get a client, you can come back and look on this. Make sure to leave a like and give me a comment on what you want to see in future videos.